Hi everyone, I'm Katherine Shriver and I'm the host of this year's Norgard Designs Global Project for 2025. This year's project is called The Beaded Word, and this year I'm going to be interviewing four beadwork artists, and one of them is with us today. This is Caldwell Linker. I'm so excited to introduce them, and I can't wait to talk about their work. So, Caldwell, I'll turn it over to you. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself to get started?
I'm Caldwell. I live in Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. I'm from the South. I um I've done beadwork for a long time. I've also done photography and a lot of my beadwork is very photo related.
Right.
And I am just sort of I started grad school in social work a while back. And I set aside beading for a little bit because I'm too hyper focused to really like do both. I
Mhm.
need to figure out and then so I actually like ended up putting beadwork down for like 3 years, and I've just started beading again in the past like few weeks.
Wow,
Like
so
so. So
it's
that's
great
like
timing.
that's one of the reasons why I like I've been like, oh, I have been sitting in my room just beading because I haven't been able
Binge
to do it for
reading, yeah.
so long.
Yeah, well, welcome back to the bead world. And
Yo.
yeah, I'm so excited this is a great time to get to talk to you then as you're kind of like coming out of a shift. And I didn't know that you were a photographer previously or
Mhm.
in tandem, but that makes so much sense with your work. So, why don't we jump in? I'll have you share your screen and then we'll just jump into some of your slides so you can show us your beautiful work.
Okay.
Mhm.
So this is a little bit this is some actually this is like the tail end of what I was doing last year, or not last year, but before I stopped, and what I've gone back to, which is beaded flowers. And it's really fun because I've always done with photography and beadwork, I've always done flat stuff.
Right.
So
Yeah, good to get a little sculptural. Do you have specific plants that you were you choosing the flowers by for any specific reason, like which ones you were being?
those I just showed you, those were from several years ago, and I was kind of just making things I sold at a little fair, and so I was just like learning how to do it. And
Great.
what I'm doing right now does have a specific plan. It's not supposed to be publicized yet,
Oh, okay, then
but
we can keep it
so I
secret.
can't really say what it is.
No problem. That's exciting.
But the stuff that I'm working on right now, which I can maybe show you in a second, is does have specific plans.
Okay, great. Awesome. Well, this image looks amazing. Please tell us.
Well, thank you. So yeah, so I used to have long hair,
Um,
and so this is woven with my hair.
wow, like the warp is actually all your hair.
Ye- I'm very bad with technical words. The up and down strings.
Yeah, the vertical that was actually using all your hair.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh
Oh my gosh.
yeah, so and I've done I think four hair pieces. They're not easy.
I can imagine. Yeah. So was this just inspired by I assume you chopped all your hair off at this moment and then
No, no, that this so this it actually for the first several actually for all the hair pieces I did, I just would like do that, and anyone with long hair knows if you do that, some hairs are gonna come out, and so I would just take it and just like keep together the longer ones and like
okay.
have them like in groups of like five and six and tape up and then slowly. So it um
Oh
I
my
also
gosh. The
I
more
also
you
collect
talk
some
about
of them.
this, the more it's amazing. Sorry.
It's a pretty long process.
Yeah.
And I did with this one, I think I did end up just like yanking some out. But
Wow.
no, and then I didn't cut my hair for a while just so I'd have as much hair as possible. And then when I cut my hair, I just cut it all off so I could have hair for future pieces.
Right. Amazing.
So, although again, it is so hard.
It must be. And even just like the idea of collecting all of those hairs and keeping them like untangled and then also like how did you just stretch them on the loom like you would? Because I feel like they wouldn't hold tension the same way threads would. Like I would
Yeah, I had to retighten it over and over and
wow.
over again, and ended up just taping the hair down for the most part.
Oh,
And it was
okay.
in little tiny clumps, and then I ended up like it's yeah. So I think as I recall, I taped it down. And then I did that on a Mirex loom,
Okay.
like the cheapest version of it, I think.
Okay.
And so it's got the two bars kind of far apart, and then like yeah, it's just like, and then I just had to wet it and like pull it taut and wet it and pull it taut
Okay.
as I was working down the way the piece.
Wow. That's incredible.
So yeah, and then like I originally just like I just put it on that frame while I was finished, just like put it up, and I was like, oh my God, this is the perfect frame. I love this
It
so much.
really is. Was that that's just the found frame you had, or
Yeah.
okay.
So I do most of my weaving on picture frames.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So
cool.
I always have I have picture frames laying around. And I display most of them on picture frames at this point. I don't take them off the loom anymore so much.
Okay, I see. Yeah,
So
well, yeah, when you have a special hair warp, why would you? Amazing. Great. Thank you so much for telling me about this. I'd never seen this piece, and
there I am with it.
there it is. Wow.
I'm standing enough forward that that makes it look a lot smaller than it is, but it is just using 11s.
Okay, cool. That's beautiful.
Um,
Wow.
so this is a word, one of my word pieces, and you'd mentioned words, so I put some in
Hmm.
there. And I mean, it's just working through. I've done several where I just like focus on one particular word and just like work through it while
Hmm.
eating and just kind of create my own little like almost it feels almost like dance steps,
Hmm.
like because as I'm like choosing different types of embroidery and different shapes of beads and just kind of like doing free, just I think in a lot of parts I think more about like the rhythm that my hands are moving in as much as what the stitch is going to look like.
Hmm. Very cool.
So
And yeah, it looks like you got a lot of different kinds of beads as well as a lot of different kinds of stitches in here, yes?
it's not a particularly great, but
It's okay, we got it, yeah. Uh,
and uh, yeah.
and so one of the things that we'll be talking a little bit about through the global project as it's constructed is how we choose our words and how we represent our words. And this is a heavy word, right? So what were you thinking about as you were beating? You said you were kind of working your way through it and kind of maybe processing it. What
Um,
inspired you to pick this word and work through race?
well, I mean, specifically with this, just figuring out, just trying to be real honest with myself about where I stand with racism and what things I have and have not examined and like how, I mean, I grew up in the South and like there's a long history of, people who are perceived as white females being the cause of a lot of Black deaths and just kind of figuring out, and that's where a lot with the pearls and because pearl
Mhm.
necklaces to me symbolize like the school I went to and the like the boarding southern boarding school I went to and
Wow.
so but I mean it's obviously it's not a short piece, so I mean just thinking about how our society is racist and how racism and sexism and homophobia and classism and how that all interacts together. And I'm just trying to be really open to like the harder and darker thoughts and not just like I tend to think a lot about, well, what can I do next? What can I do? And so just kind of using this as an excuse to just sit in thoughts.
Right, absolutely. And it's like very confrontational and, or not confrontational, but like very frank, I think. And like you said, just kind of like really looking at something hard and allowing yourself to like look at something that is often kind of like tucked away or not like processed. And you were talking about how, we have all the different kinds of like structural prejudices and like racism, sexism, all sorts of like classism, etc., and how they all work together. And here it's like, it the kind of interwoven nature of all these different elements are all discordant. They're all like fighting for different kinds of visual attention. And I feel like I can really see the way that you're processing these structural prejudices and how they are interwoven throughout our lives in society. So that's a
And I
really
think like one of the overarching things that I came up with, just like also with this piece specifically, is just that it is really important to name our issues,
mm,
um, not in a way that just like not to cause a bunch of internal guilt, but to know what we're working with. And I think that as people with privilege need to admit privilege, and like I need to understand the like coming from a point that yes, I am racist and that's gonna happen, and
right,
that's the world I live in, and so it's something that I need to like work on and work through, but that most likely I'm starting from that place.
right, right.
So, and just to like acknowledge that and to move in. And so another
Mm.
oops. I also do a lot of graveyard documentation.
Amazing. Yeah, I was just gonna note about like the way you've taken some of these photos is like that, the one with the stop with your face behind it. It's really interesting. Anyways.
So this is another one that obviously is similar. But with this, just kind of working through guilt and like this a breakup, and a breakup where I'd been, you know, told that I was the bad one and whatever, and I my goal was to not be sorry
Mm,
by the time I finished it. Like somewhere along the lines, that kind of became the goal, is to just like work through guilt and accusations that people put on us because they don't want to deal with their own stuff. And
that's amazing. And I think that like the we've kind of presented just the beginnings of this global project this week about like inscribing text within like a flat peyote stitch structure. And I think like a
mhm,
lot of formal ideas around that and some thematic ideas tying that to nature have been brought up. But like I think you're adding like this is really relevant, like kind of inspiration for this project because you're diving much deeper into what it means to put text into beadwork, but also just like it's a medium that not only I think we're thinking about beadwork as a matrix that then will dictate the way text looks, but you're really also thinking about what it means to, or like beadwork as an opportunity to really like marinate and process and really have the processing of the word or the ideas around the word physical. And there's like this real psychological and societal link that I think is really useful and important for this project.
yeah, thank you. um, the other another way that I use words, this is obviously one with a word, and
Mhm.
I did this piece like 3 or 4 times to get it just right.
Wow.
Uh,
And was that redoing about getting the like the imagery
yeah,
right and representation? Okay, well,
yeah. The first time I did it, by the time I finished it, the font was too small, and I realized I really wanted the O lined up with the center of my mouth.
oh, right. Wow.
And I think the second time, like the colors weren't just quite right, and you can't always tell till you're almost done. And then a lot of times it looks like it might not be quite right, but if you look at it for a little while when it's done, it does look right. So anyway,
Yeah.
I finished it. And then I did another version using size eights because
Mm-hmm.
I was able to find the same beads, all the same pattern. No, not all of them, but a lot of them. But
Right.
yeah. And the red is all translucent,
Mm,
and the black and white and grays are all opaque. And so it's really, I've been playing with like light and how light comes in through different beads. So that one is very specifically meant to just yeah, the it looks neat with light.
Yeah, that red must just like really glow, like it's actually like a traffic signal or something. That's really amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about your process? You were talking about like redoing this piece multiple times. So like how do you like how do you transcribe the imagery into the beadwork in the first place? And like how often do you like when you redo pieces, do you take them all apart or do you just put it aside and redo it again? Is there like a pattern making process that you do?
Yeah, so I use a program that I'm pretty sure is called Bead Tools.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
It is pretty rudimentary,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been using it for like 10 or 15 years.
Wow. Okay.
And
Has it changed at all in that time?
a little.
Okay.
And but the changes haven't necessarily helped me. It is not like I don't I dislike to saying that I use a computer program because that's really simplifies it. Like there's one piece I did that I it was a commission and the person said they're like, I really want to make sure I pay you correctly. So I want you to time how long it takes.
Hmm.
So I did, and like the design of the piece took 40 hours.
Wow. Yeah, I believe that. Like these
And
tools do not do it for you. Yeah.
right, it and so it like it is just a matter of like moving the like framing the picture just right and then like getting the colors just right and then it doesn't like tell you it divides it up into like colors but it's not like that color corresponds, it corresponds to like
Right.
28 different beads.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Wow.
it's I'll show you one thing
Yeah,
I
please.
do.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So yeah, so that's like, so I just weave the eyes like 3 or 4 different times. There's something I was looking for where I can't remember which part of, I think it's like maybe like my nose or something where I did like 9 times just to try to get the colors just right.
Wow, okay. Amazing.
Um, and so,
So this is
yeah, so
primarily
that's,
like for color swatching.
mhm.
Cool.
And
Cool.
I'll have like a bunch of different ideas and it doesn't and they're tiny little bits of glass so they're because they look different next to different things
Absolutely.
and
And they
they
look
work.
different in the tube than they do on the mat or like in the weave. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's nuts.
so I usually do a bunch of that and then the way that I actually bead I is really easy for me to rip stuff out
Hmm.
and I like ripped out the middle of something or ripped out the top or like a lot of times I will start um like at the eyes and I'll just kind of work my way down my face or down the face and then kind of changing things and then I'll start back at the top and then like work back down. I kind of like even it out and I like everything.
Wow. Okay.
So
That's an amazing way of working.
um yeah, so that this is the thing I did most recent, the last thing I did, and I'll be honest with you, it blows my mind. I'm
Yeah.
so impressed with it. I look at it all the time and just like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that.
You should, and there are so many amazing, beyond just like the imagery and the impactfulness of this as a piece. I'm immediately seeing some like really brilliant technical things that you've done, which is like the way you finished off the warp at the bottom where like the beads are kind of curling in so it looks like because you could have just like left the warp threads hanging and had a similar sort of unraveling feel, but this is so much more powerful and integrated into the piece. It also means that you get some like cockroach body kind of crawling out. And then at the top, the way you've just left like a few skinny little hangers on of warp threads, it's just incredibly cohesive and emotive and brilliant. So amazing.
You're noticing that some of the things I really love about the top of it,
Great. Yeah,
like
that's so
it makes it feel so much more creepy to me.
yes.
When I'm zooming it in, is it also zooming in for
Yep,
you?
yep, it is.
It
It's
just, yeah,
amazing.
it just makes me feel, it just gives it that extra like creep factor. And for the source picture, I had just I work from photos.
Mhm.
So it was just creepy to do it because I had all these like fake cockroaches taped all over me.
Oh
And
no.
just having them in my mouth was very weird. But so I never get to use delicas
Oh yeah.
because I just don't like how they look when they're woven.
Yeah.
It just makes two solid lines. But so I bought delicas for like the little bodies, and I embroidered on their little like cockroach bodies, and I taught myself French beaded flowers so I can make French beaded cockroaches.
Oh my gosh, amazing. This is a masterpiece, like technically and just like artistically. So yeah, bravo.
Thank you. Yeah, it was for the the Museum of Beadwork. It's that it's yearly thing.
Mm-hmm.
I did not win. A butterfly
Brutal.
won. I'm sure it was a
Ugh.
great butterfly.
That'll happen with those butterflies. I'm sorry. But this is an incredible piece.
It was an immaculate butterfly, I will say that. And I think it had a lot of detail work in the white beads. But
All right. No
um
shades of the butterfly.
yeah, and then so what I've been working on recently is beaded flowers.
Great. And so is that kind of like, did you go from, because you said you taught yourself to do the French beaded flowers in order to do the cockroach this way. So did
Yeah.
then you were kind of like, let's just do a lot of these flowers, or is
Hmm.
it okay, cool, great. So it just like lit you on fire a little bit or like took you in a different direction?
Yeah, it's just been really fun to work with like dimension and also just to not be looking at my own face all the time. Like, so I did so many self-portraits because when I my my photography and my beadwork are really connected, but not in a way that's obvious to most people. But like my photography was very much documentary of queer, like documenting photography, documenting queer and trans folks,
Mm-hmm.
basically like my friend group in my life.
Hmm.
And so like, but I did all this documenting of like specific groups, like the specific like friend groups, but it looks like you would never know that was there. And so I
Hmm.
think that was one of the reasons why I wanted to wind up doing a lot of self-portraits, but also like the pandemic happened, so I was like alone. And it also just became, since each one takes so long to do,
Right.
I just kept like in my brain just being like, oh, I don't want to do a portrait of this person because then this person might get upset that put this effort into their,
Oh, interesting.
so it's just easier
Right.
to do myself a lot.
That's interesting in terms of like considering the relationship with the person in the image and like how that impacts not just like the piece, but like how you choose to make pieces.
Oh, well, I mean, that's a huge part of documentary photography.
Right, right.
Like
Mm.
really, especially like if you're documenting like the people you're friends with, like not like an outside group or anything.
Yeah,
So yeah, no, considering people's feelings and thoughts and representation of people and consent and all that is something that's been a lot of time thinking about. So
yeah, of course. And yeah, that is just another lens of like, it's just another way that like the knowing now about your photographic practice like completely shifts or like deepens the way that understand the way you're approaching the beadwork too. Um, wow. Um, yeah. So you were talking about the beaded flowers and you started with an image of those. Do you want to shift back to that and talk a little bit more about them, or where would you like to go from here?
um I don't have like I'm working on the flowers like
Okay.
as we speak. I
Okay.
can show you some. So um
Mm.
I don't have the patience to like really follow instructions for a long time, but so these are my version of cornflakes.
Right, amazing.
And these are it's a real check. We can slide into the bead geeks shit now.
Great.
These are they're like a check cut, I think antique Venetian bead, and
Oh,
the just
okay.
the blue is
Yeah, I'm just seeing it on a screen that looks out of this world, so I can't even
yeah,
imagine.
it's that color blue that you can only get in like an enamel or a bead or something like that.
Mhm. Wow.
And then I don't know. I kind of just I'm kind of making it up as I go along. These were two that I really had fun with. And then I'm constantly trying to find some new and better way to do a lily of the valley.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
anytime I do anything, This is the current my current iteration.
Wow.
And these are I took apart an old pearl necklace,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's this.
That's amazing. So we were talking about the pearls and like what they mean to
Mhm.
you. And I mean, broadly, they signify sort of like, yeah, like pearl clutching, white femininity in a certain kind of like Southern manner. And yeah, just white femininity more broadly too. And this is a different context. And I wonder if you're still thinking about them in that way when you're using them for these flowers, or if it's just because, okay, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have will put a lot of symbolism into even tiny little things, but like lilies of the valley are one of my mother's favorite plants, and
Mm,
like a lot of flowers remind me a lot of like my mother, my grandmother, and so like that's where I learned a lot of plant names from, especially as my grandmother, and she bragged about the fact that she like was still doing her ironing and high heels and pearls well into her 60s or 70s.
Whereas, wow. Yeah.
She was a very, very specific type of lady that yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I do always like pearls are a little like nod to the women I came from. Yeah, I like putting them in wherever I can.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's like such an interesting symbol because it's like your lineage in like two different senses too. There's like the one where you're like thinking about in the other piece that said racist on it and where like what are you processing through like your like how you grew up, how you were raised, where you're from, your family, and then also like just thinking about the women who raised you. And that duality, I think, is really important. It's hard for a lot of people to talk about. You know, it's like easier to just wholesale condemn something
Mhm.
or but yeah, holding ancestry and lineage in that way when it's complicated, I think is so important and interesting. So
Thank you. One of the things that I was thinking about a lot when I did the racist piece too is the color white.
mhm,
And the I don't remember at what point in time it like just kind of hit me. I was like, oh wait, like for someone to have like white clothes, like especially a child to have like a white outfit, that involves a lot of labor on somebody's part. And like
right.
who can wear, and thinking about like old pictures, because I do a lot of genealogy research,
Mm,
and some of my family, a lot of it just random other stuff lined up, a lot of it lined with my graveyard documentation.
mm.
But yeah, like looking at old pictures, it's like, okay, who can have a white dress and who is laboring over to make that
Who's responsible for
possible?
keeping that dress white? Yeah.
I have a lot of color symbolism that just kind of changes from piece
Mm,
to piece to piece. Um, but like at a certain time, like, a particular green will be just exactly what I need for this one thing. One other thing I do with words, is I do these coded pieces,
mm.
and in the coded pieces, so I'll write something out and then I assign a different color bead to each letter in the alphabet. And then so I'll then bead out the 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 idea or the whatever.
Right. Oh, cool. Yeah, it looks so random, but there's a code embedded in this.
Yeah. Yeah,
Cool.
very specific code. It's I have it like written down, and um it's a letter. A lot of them are letters, most of them are letters.
Okay.
Um and yeah, so but like different bugle beads like usually signify a word or something like that. And a lot of times I'll rotate my tray so the pattern changes.
Oh, okay, cool. Wow.
Um
So do these get shown and then have a code, or are they just kind of like or like sorry, are they shown and then they have the key with them for people to decode, or is this just kind of
no, but
secret for you?
well, it depends. Like I posted this on the internet, and I did include some, like in the post, I included some of the sentences that
Hmm,
were in it.
right.
Um and I've done a couple different ones. I did one for it was for an organization. It was for a fundraiser for an organization that focuses on letter writing to prisoners and folks
Oh,
who are
amazing.
incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went through, and I can't remember if the group itself specifically focuses on queer incarcerated folks or not. But anyway, I
Mm-hmm.
went through and found several different lists of queer incarcerated folks who were requesting letters
Mm-hmm.
and pen pals. And so I encoded each of those names and I beat it out. So the pieces are like a long, thin piece, and like each
Wow.
one is a different name of a prisoner who is a queer prisoner requesting email letters. And I mean most of them where was like saying like please don't put any queer content in the letter, I don't want to get in
Right.
trouble and stuff like that. So the encoding took on a whole different meaning with that. Like in this one I'm encoding my own personal feelings,
Mm-hmm.
but in
Yeah,
the other those names.
right. Yeah, there's like that utility to it, or like why would coding become necessary? Maybe if it's like your personal feelings, there's like a sense of like expressing but still having that privacy. And then for folks who like truly need anonymity or protection in some way from what's being spoken about, that's really powerful. And this is also like a very beautiful, emotive, and powerful way of thinking about beadwork and text, right? Like beads are like so easily transcribable into a lot of different things, numbers and like record keeping systems. It's like many different cultures have very long histories of beads working in this way, and this is like a really incredibly like contemporary way of kind of doing that, and also the ways in which you're using it feel like thematically feel very prescient also.
Yeah, one of the things I love so much about beadwork is the way that you can really like have two conversations going on in your own head. Like
Mm,
for me and whatever ADD or whatever I've got going on, I think a lot easier when my hands are doing something like this. And like I am, I'm thinking, but I'm also mostly thinking like five green,
yeah, right,
six
right.
of bead C, two of
Totally.
bead A, and it doesn't.
But yeah,
um
there's like those two different wavelengths that you're on. There's the like 5C, but then there's like the kind of cloud of stuff that you're processing through the
yeah.
5 green.
I I have my fair share of mental health problems, and I found beading is so good for me because I can like do actual physical weaving when I'm like super anxious, and then when I'm
Right.
like depressed and like don't feel like I can get up, I can at least drag the laptop onto me and like design stuff,
Yeah,
and it's
totally.
when yeah, I'm depressed and mopey, I've got all the feelings I want to get out, and
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and then when I'm feeling like more energetic and like want to like I have like a lot of like I can make source photos and work on framing and different things like that. And so I found that I it has so many different moods. It's conducive to so many different moods that need an outlet for me a lot of times.
Right. I don't
So
think you're alone in that either. Um, I oh yeah, I wanted to ask you, and that kind of touches on a little bit maybe, when and why did you start beading?
um I I was a pretty crafty little kid. And I've always been good at like learning from instructions. I've probably started beading, I don't know, when I was like 12 or 14. And then, so I would just kind of like put away beads for a little while. And then, like, I would work on it a little bit and then put them away for a couple years. And then, when I picked them up most recently, which was like, probably like I don't know, like 10 or whatever years ago. I was a much different politically
Mm,
and a much different person as far as like awareness
interesting.
goes. And like I didn't want to fall into traps of ripping off cultures of or without like figuring out how to like repay knowledge and
Hmm.
repay um the just how to engage with beadwork as part of someone with like colonial
Right.
ancestry. And and I'll be honest, like a lot of people were just kind of like, like you could just, beadwork's beadwork, do what you want, da 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 da. And I'm like, they're like, don't do dream catchers, but whatever. And I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
no, I need figure it out. And
Yeah.
like, how do I avoid particular color schemes that like maybe I'm just drawn to, and then when as soon as I finish it, I'm like, oh, this looks very much like something I have seen before,
Yep.
and that is not part of my heritage.
Yeah. But
Uh,
it's so powerful. It's in your brain, but it's not
right,
yours.
right. So I was pretty deliberate about figuring out what to do, and I try not to absorb any more uh just beadwork in general.
Right.
I have like some books. I had some books that I've had for a while. But and then I just kind of like tried to figure out over a while, like how can I engage with beadwork and not engage with the stuff that I don't feel cool about.
Mhm.
And what I came up with was some like basic reparation practices that I have worked into what I do,
Mhm.
and also just using my own photos.
Right.
Like it's I don't have to worry about it. Like because I
Right.
know
Solves
it's
the
like
imagery problem, certainly. Yeah.
it's my image, it's my face.
Hmm.
Um
Hmm.
and so that and I'm really glad that I went through that process, and it took me several years to figure it out, but also I came up with something that like I haven't seen anyone else doing.
Yeah. I was thinking about this as you're talking. Like I truly, your beadwork stands out a
Thank you.
lot. Like I don't think I think of anyone that it even feels like it's in the family of in like a really tight way.
Teresa Burrows in
Hmm.
Canada, she does embroidery. And she does some pretty mind-blowing photorealistic stuff
Okay. I don't
with
know that.
portraiture and stuff like that. I mean, it's it's different. It's we do pretty different things, but it's she does do like large scale photorealistic stuff.
Wow. All right. Well, I will look into her too.
So yeah, she's awesome. But yeah, and I'm just it really I am glad that I don't know, there's a whole lot that I have just learned through beadwork and figuring and just like that process and figuring out how to put personal growth and learning into the different pieces that I do
Mm.
in addition to like just making something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I often think of beadwork as like a thinking tool.
Hmm.
A lot of the work that I do has like I've been doing some of the geometric beadwork, and when I teach people this, they're like, "Oh, I can't do math," and I'm like, "The beads count for you. The
Yeah.
beads do the math for you." And I think like the beads are also thinking, like you and the beads are thinking together in like any process that you do. And again, that's why they're tied to like they're perfect language tools, they're perfect record keeping tools, they're perfect. Um, like math tools, and they're also excellent at like creating connections between people. Like
Hmm.
beading is like a community-based thing often. I also bead largely in solitude, but through teaching and through sharing techniques, and even just like the way you're speaking about kind of intentionally thinking about the like material heritage of beadwork, or like what it means to you, or what beadwork, yeah, what beadwork can mean for you as like somebody of white settler being,
Hmm.
and then having to think in concert with not just like communities, cultures, people, but also bead processes
Mm-hmm.
in terms of negotiating that and how much you learned from that, and also how thinking and considering, like, trying to understand and avoid appropriation, and not just like avoid it out of like steering clear, but to understand what you're doing and what it means, and how that led you to such like a unique and robust practice of your own. I think that's really incredible, but also taught you a lot more about the cultures that are not yours.
And like just thinking about like on that particular subject, which I did spend a lot of time on, but thinking about like not just okay, so I'm not going to do this, but like why am I not?
Yeah.
Why do I not want? Who do I not want to like rip off, and
Mhm.
why? And like as it turns out, the more I got into it, is I kind of just, I mean, there's definite like issues with like colonialism and stuff, but also then I was kind of like, well, I just want to do my own thing
Yeah, you have other
in
things to
general, like
say,
just.
right? Like, yeah, it's interesting. It's not like this like one or the other thing. Like, I studied in Canada, and there's a larger visibility of Indigenous, like First Nations,
Hmm.
art, and beadwork in particular is like very tied to Indigenous art
Hmm.
there. And so when I was doing beadwork, it was like very hard for people to swallow. And I also had to think really hard about what it meant for me to be doing beads and in what way I wanted to be doing it and why. And then I came back to the United States, and it was that thing where like, oh, beads belong to everybody in different ways and like whatever. And both are bad, right? Like, that's not true. They don't, every single kind of beadwork does not belong to everybody. And
Hmm.
it's not about belonging. It's like, what does this mean? And how do you mean with it? And then in Canada, when you kind of conflate all, and this is a very broad generalization of like the sort of like broad art market, but like
Hmm.
if you're conflating all beadwork with like First Nations beadwork, you're really not noticing what's important about their beadwork.
Hmm.
And you're missing the point of a lot of things. And
Right.
so actually understanding what you're doing is, um, beats put us to that task, no matter who we are, I think.
Yeah, they really do, and it is, and there's I love the idea of one of my one of my other passions is cheese
Oh,
and
amazing.
artisanal cheeses,
Oh,
and it I feel like cheeses are similar to beads in the sense that like there is not an end to the amount of knowledge I can get.
mm,
Like there's not like there always with beads, there's always a different color combination I hadn't thought of, or like more to learn about just the history of one color, or or where this particular there's just an endless variety of ways to occupy my little brain, and I really
yeah,
appreciate that in avocation.
yeah, absolutely. Well, we're running out of time again. So we can wrap up, or you can say one last topic we can address whenever you.
Um, I think that I like I said, I just like stepped back into the beating world like 2 weeks ago. So this is it's very nice to be back.
Great. Yeah, welcome
I
back.
missed it.
I'm
Yeah.
excited you're great. Well, thank you so much, Caldwell. It was
Thank you.
so
This is
amazing.
really exciting.
This was like a knockout interview, and I'm so excited to share all of your work. And this
Thank you.
conversation was really great and really enriching. So thank you so much. Yeah, so I hope you have a really great evening, and I hope we talk again soon.
All right. Yeah, definitely.